Hi everybody, it's Nikki to do another video that's from personal experience, not to be used as medical advice. I'm doing day 15. I said they're random days, but that's just how things have been going for me lately. Day 15. So I last talked about day 10. Today is day 15. Today I actually got to sit down and finish getting caught up on my microboluses, and that was just logging them and figuring out the percentages based on my manual mode basal rates. But I have not gone back yet and done the tallies compared to, the day by day, either the total daily dose or even the comparison from one day to the next. I have a couple of things I'd like to look at, but I had to finish this part first, and I finished it. So I'm here to tell you guys where I am on day 15. I didn't think I was going to stay 2 weeks in auto. In fact, I was hoping to make like 4 days, and I have stayed 2 weeks. However, today is the day that I say, okay, I'm ready to get out. And the reason I'm ready to get out is because I've seen auto mode evolve in the last couple of days. I don't understand the algorithm. I don't understand necessarily why it makes the decisions it's making, but I can say that my first couple of days in auto mode this time around produced very good, strong delivery of insulin. My microboluses were strong. There was a strong, steady delivery. And when I did have minimum delivery, that used to be my worst nightmare, was the minimum delivery. When I did get it this time around, those microboluses that followed it were strong enough to counter it. So it was no harm, no foul, and that was okay. However, in the last couple of days, I've seen it over the last week, but really in the last couple of days, I've seen those microboluses and the consistent delivery. I've just seen it all kind of dwindle down into what it was the last time I was in auto mode. And that is a rack of 0.025s, 0.05s, and 0.075s, where a strong hour is a 0.1, and an occasional 0.125, and a rare 0.15. My first couple of days, there was 0.15 all over the place. So I have not done that final tally, but I can say, just looking at these rates and looking at my numbers, that something has happened and auto mode has decided that it needs to deliver less insulin. I do think that a big part of this has to do with my exercise. I think that I mentioned it in day 10, 3 days in a row, I had to exercise in order to bring down my blood sugar. And I did not suspend, and I did not do a correction, which means I taught auto mode that I just need less insulin. And that started around 11 o'clock in the morning. And really, let's say the period that would have been affected could have been as many as 2 or 3 hours. So for all I know, auto was learning that entire time I don't need as much insulin, and in the morning to slow me down. I'm not sure how it learns what it learns, but I think it has learned something, and I think it's not really an accurate picture, and I have no way of communicating to it, that I do need that insulin, or that I do need that correction. And in fact, the only thing I do have to do at this point is to look at one of these options, most that are not ideal for me, and that is to either do fake carbs, to do manual injections, to do the fill cannula, or to do settings changes. I did talk to Medtronic about settings changes, and they have repeated in 3 different phone calls now that the ICR and the AIT are not dials. You cannot dial up bigger microboluses. It's not how it works. They repeated in the last phone call in particular, she went into great detail to explain that the way you get more insulin by changing those settings is when you do those boluses, which is what makes sense. She said you're not going to see an overall increase. She said you're going to get more for your next correction bolus. So that's that. So if I can't exercise to bring it down, and I don't want to do fake carbs, and I don't want to do manual injections, and I'm hesitant to do settings changes, though I will try one tonight, that leaves me with letting auto mode do its thing. I've heard it a million times. For those of you guys that auto mode works well for, that's fantastic. It's doing its thing and it's doing it well. For me, it's slowing itself down, and it's no longer an option to let it do its thing. My blood sugar is staying at a 200 most of the time now. It's just not being very aggressive, and I don't know how to make it more aggressive, and Medtronic says you can't, without making the entire day more aggressive, regardless of whether or not I need it. And Medtronic backs this and says that there is no way to fine tune it. It's kind of like, you're going to do what you're going to do, and then you're going to deal with it. And if you ask for extra insulin, you're going to get extra insulin at every bolus, and you're not going to need it every single time. It's going to depend on what Otto has given me. So day 15, I've thought about going low carb. That's what I did the first time around, so that makes a lot of sense. My first time around, I ended up cutting out all carbs. It was not a conscious decision. I didn't decide to go low carb. There was never a good time to eat carbs, and as a result, I cut them all from my diet. And I lost a bunch of weight. Like, that was great. And my A1C did drop, and I didn't have to correct for lows because, there were a lot of things that worked well, but I was kind of moved into that strategy. And I found myself over the last couple of days starting to consider doing the same. And I realized that this is the beginning stage of my trying to accommodate for auto mode to help me. And that's what I did the last time around, and it's why I didn't stay in. Problematic sensors, they suck, and they did not suck the last time. I have always had a problem with lag. That has, from day one, I've had a real problem with lag, but I have never had problems with my sensors, and I'm having problems with my sensors now, and that even cuts out the other possibility, which is to leave auto mode and get that correction in manual mode, which Medtronic does recommend, and they recommend that over the fake carbs and everything else. But I can't do that very easily. And if I can't do it easily, then I have to decide whether or not I'm going to do it at all. So if I don't think that I can get out of auto mode with a high blood sugar, which is the only time I would even bother getting out of auto mode, and then turn around and return as is recommended, then I have to decide, am I going to leave? And am I going to go out and try to get that correction, or am I going to let auto mode do its thing? I tried the other day to let auto mode do its thing, and my blood sugar just rose and rose, and it floated all day and then jumped, frequently. And again, I was seeing those 0.05s with a few missed micros here and there at a 270. And I just don't understand that. So I was going to say a few other things. Okay, so I was getting to something else on top of it. Okay. I also worry about settings changes because I have seen auto give me some very aggressive delivery, so I worry about what happens if I increase its ability on top of that. I think I said that last video. And my other question is, why do I have to change my settings when there was no need in the beginning? So if people are saying, well, you really might need to change your settings, and we all have the wrong settings in manual mode, and I've heard this time and time again, well, if auto didn't work, it's because you didn't have the right settings in manual mode, except my settings were great in manual mode. I had great control over my blood sugar in manual mode, and when I first came into auto mode 15 days ago, or, whatever, the first couple of days, I was getting great insulin then too. So auto mode has evolved without my having changed any settings. So why would I need to change my settings in order to get auto mode to work? I guess my big question is, if auto mode already has the potential to deliver as much insulin as it has, and in my case, I've seen 184% of my manual mode rate, but hour after hour of 130 to 160%, that's strong potential. What am I doing with changing settings? I don't need to increase its potential. I need to change its decision making, and I don't think I can do that with settings changes. My son has woken up, so I need to go do that. I think I've said as much as I want to say. Day 15, and I'm ready to change my ICR tonight, based on the idea that it is a dial, and it will increase my micros overnight. My micros started off very strong at night. They have since really, really kind of tapered off. So I will try an ICR setting overnight, only because I don't do a food bolus overnight. So if I see a change, I'll know it's not because I bought myself extra insulin. I'll know because it really did dial in and bigger micros. I'll do that tonight. And I'll leave it for a couple days, and I'll ride out a few more of these highs, and maybe consider the AIT as well, because Dr. Bennett over at FUD presents a strong case for the AIT settings change. And then after that, I think I'm done with auto, and I think it's time for me to go back and start to buckle down and have good control over my blood sugar and kind of knock back out the mystery, which is what I've been trying to do for 15 years. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll go check on my son. Have a good night. Bye.